Was the Apostle Paul a restrictor or a releaser of women? So the quick answer for the question, was Paul a restrictor or releaser of women, is a releaser.
Consider Paul's heart, his resume. He was a fruitful missionary. His heart was on fire. He was an evangelist. Laborers he wanted to have sent out to tell the good news. He was a spirit-led equipper, equipping men and women to take part in the Great Commission. He was a brilliant thinker and strategist. He would never have considered sitting down half the team. He was a future persecuted Christian martyr, and he said, rejoice when people speak against him as long as the gospel is going out. In Philippians 1:17 and 18, he said, what does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. And because of this, I rejoice. Paul was a trained theological writer. He praised workers, he honored laborers, he opened the doors for godly leaders. Paul wanted more reliable, multiplying teachers of the good news.
So how do we know Paul was a releaser? Look at his resume. It's all about getting more people out to serve in the Great Commission. So you may wonder, what did Paul call men and women who served in ministry? He listed 39 people in his writings of the New Testament by name. He listed 22 men and 17 women, and he mentioned them in identical ways. This is unlike some churches today who have women directors and men ministers with some technical differences between those, but not Paul. Paul used the same words. He called them sunergos, which means co-worker. Two words in Greek. Sun means co, ergos means worker. So he talked about this co-workers. Secondly, he used the word kapiao, which means laborers. He used these words many times to describe co-workers and laborers. For example, in Romans chapter 16, he said, greet Priscilla and Aquila, my co-workers, sunergos, in Christ Jesus. And later in Romans 16:12, he says, salute Tryphena and Tryphosa, who work hard, kapiosas, in the Lord. Salute the beloved Persis, who has worked very hard, that's again kapiao, in the Lord. And in Philippians 4:3, it says, yes, and I ask you, my true companion, help these women, since they have contended at my side in the cause of the gospel, along with Clement and the rest of my co-workers, sunergon, whose names are in the book of life.
Paul did call one co-worker or laborer a different word in the scriptures. He gave this person a special category. This person's influence was strong, generous, worthy of a special title. This person Paul called a prostatus. A prostatus has significant influence. A prostatus is like a champion, a benefactor, a patron. It was a word used to describe a magnanimous leader, like Caesar. So who did Paul call a prostatus? In Romans 16, verses 1 and 2, Paul called Phoebe both a deacon and a prostatus. Romans 16, 1 and 2 says, I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deacon of the church in Cenchrea. I ask you to receive her in the Lord in a way worthy of his people, and to give her any help she may need from you. For she has been a prostatus, benefactor of many people, including me. Now, some Bible translations will call her a helper rather than a champion or a benefactor. But Paul calls her a prostatus because he wanted to show that he held her in high regard as a servant leader. There was really no higher honor he could have given a person. So, no, Paul did not hate women. He did not limit women. Paul honored, encouraged, and trusted them. I think that Paul is the most misunderstood writer of the New Testament. Personally, I cannot wait to meet Paul, my brother in the Lord, who did all he could during his day through his letters to release laborers, both men and women, into full participation in order to complete God's mission on earth.
Now, some may disagree with women leading in the church, but I would commend to you my sister, Deborah. She's from Asia. Over the past 25 years, she's led over 20 million people in a network, underground. She spent significant time in prison, given her blood for Jesus. Currently, she's still on the run. There's a bounty on her head. I believe that Paul doesn't restrict her. I believe Paul cheers for her. As a missionary, as a church planter, as a spirit-led equipper, as a thinker, as a strategist, let us be like Paul, as he follows the example of Christ. And Jesus is actually the one who gives us the spiritual gifts and wants us to use them, right? So if Jesus gives them, let's be like Paul. Let's be like Jesus. Let us release godly women and men. Let us increase the good news going out. And may we multiply the laborers for God's mission.
And with that, let's multiply this teaching, because there are many people that need to be released through this teaching. I want to ask you 4 questions. What does this teaching teach you about the nature and character of God? What does this teach you about people? What command can you obey today? With whom can you share this teaching? Until all know, run with it.